Hello and welcome back to the channel for the first part of my preview for the second instalment of Doctor Who Flux, War of the Sontarans. So just like last week, I'm going to begin by taking a deep dive into the episode's synopsis. I'm then going to do the same with the cast list and then do a final plot prediction a bit later in the week. So it's a bit of a funny one this because there have been two synopses for this episode going around. There's one sort of official one on the website and what have you, and then there's another one which I think possibly originated in the Radio Times or somewhere, which is ever so slightly different and mentions a couple of different things and phrases things slightly differently. I'll begin by just reading them out, which is something that I forgot to do in the previous video, so apologies for that. So, during the Crimean War, the Doctor discovers the British Army fighting a brutal alien army of Sontarans, as Yaz and Dan are thrown deeper into a battle for survival. What is the Temple of Atropos? Who are the Mouri? And then the second synopsis, the Doctor has an unexpected encounter with one of her deadliest enemies when the Sontarans become a new faction in the Crimean War. As the British Army goes into pitched battle with the warlike aliens, the Doctor and her companions seek the help of renowned nurse Mary Seacole, while an ancient temple hides mysterious secrets. So I'll just begin by taking a look at the things which are different in that second synopsis, I think. So first of all, it's weird that the first synopsis, this sort of official one, doesn't mention Mary Seacole, whereas this one does. Obviously she is a character that we've known is going to be in the series for many months because of a leak on actress Sara Powell's CV, I think. And I think people sort of assumed that she was going to play a fairly major role in the story, but the fact that that first synopsis omits her suggests perhaps she's not going to play that big a role. Perhaps she is just going to be one smaller cog in this massive wheel of an adventure, because we already know, not from the synopsis but from other means, that we're going to be going to Liverpool in this adventure, and of course we're also going to be going to this mysterious temple which the synopsis also mentions. It calls it an ancient temple which hides mysterious secrets. So moving back to the first synopsis now, we get a bit more detail as to what this temple might be all about and what these mysterious secrets might be. So it's called the Temple of Atropos. Now from an interview I think in the Series 13 Flux press pack, we know that Atropos is a planet that shouldn't exist, I believe, something strange like that. Whether that's because of the Flux or some other separate mystery, that's not currently clear. And there's also this question mark over these characters called the Mouri, presumably the race that lived or lives on Atropos. I think it would be fairly safe to assume that they are the sort of ghostly, veiled figures that appear in the trailer and in promo pics from this story, and that the Temple of Atropos is the building that we've seen them in, and we've also seen Vinda in that space in multiple clips and promo pics. And interesting as well, we've seen Yaz there in some recently released promo pics for the story, and we've also seen countless pics of Swarm and Azure in this space as well. So I think it would be safe to assume again that these two strands are separate, that the Sontarans and the Crimean War stuff is one strand, and then the Temple of Atropos and Vinda and Swarm and Azure and then Yaz eventually as well is a separate strand running alongside it. So we can read a little bit into those two final questions, what is the Temple of Atropos and who are the Mouri, just simply because they are actually real life things in a manner of speaking. They have roots in Greek mythology, I believe. So taking a look first at the Mouri, there isn't actually anything specifically called the Mouri in Greek mythology, but there's something very similar called the Mouri, I believe that's how you say it, which refers to three goddesses who preside over the birth and life of humans, of mortals. And one of those fates, one of those goddesses, is called Atropos. So whereas the other two goddesses are associated with the beginning of life and then the middle of life, I think, Atropos is the one that's associated with the end of life. Apparently she's the one that cuts the thread of life and chooses the manner of how mortals die and all this weird, slightly twisted sort of stuff. And then just to briefly move outside of the realm of Greek mythology, the word Mouri does actually appear in some other contexts. So in the Maori dictionary, that's the Maori, the New Zealand people and tribe, Mouri refers to the life principle, the essential quality and vitality of a being or entity. And apparently in Arabic, Mouri is a name that means one who spreads good things between people. So what can we take away from all of this? Well, Mouri is clearly a word associated with life, with fate, with destiny, and Atropos is clearly associated with the end of life, cutting the thread of life, so to speak, and all this sort of stuff. And Chris Chibnall and the people responsible for this episode will no doubt have been aware of these real-life meanings of these terms and titled them with all of this in mind. So I don't think it would be too much of a leap to assume that there's something going on here to do with destiny and fate and life, and potentially if Swarm and Azure are coming to this space, potentially they're going to sort of, cause some chaos and upset the balance of the forces of life and fate and destiny and what have you, and try and control the destiny of the universe perhaps, or something wild and wacky like that. I think all that sounds fairly probable, at least generally speaking, because of course there's going to be more to it than that. There's going to be stuff that we can't possibly predict, even by looking at real life definitions and deep diving into Greek mythology and what have you. But yeah, I think that's as much as we can glean so far. I mean, ironically, given the episode's title, there seems to be more mystery surrounding all the stuff that's not to do with the Sontarans and the Crimean War. I'm guessing we're going to get some fairly lengthy battle scenes between the Sontarans and the British Army soldiers, especially given the fact that this episode is an hour long rather than 50 minutes. It's longer than last week's opener. I do hope we get to see more of Mary Seacole than the synopsis suggests, or indeed doesn't suggest, because that's been one of the major strengths of the Chibnall era, the historicals, and meeting these historical figures and learning more about them. So I do hope that amongst all the other stuff going on, we don't lose sight of that, and that we do still get to spend a lot of time with Mary Seacole and learn all about her and hear her story, because it sounds very interesting. So I think that's just about all I can glean from the War of the Sontarans synopsis. What do you make of all of this, and what would you like to see in this story? And especially if there are any Greek mythology experts watching who know more about Atropos and the Mouri and the Greek fates and all that sort of stuff than I do, please do get in touch in the comments below and let me hear your thoughts. I'd love to hear what you've got to say. Please do also like the video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe if you're new to the channel for more Doctor Who Flux related content, including my cast list analysis and plot prediction for this episode coming later this week. But until then, thank you so much for watching, and goodbye for now.